Now, after watching that last video, you might be discouraged, thinking you just told us that we can't win if you progression bet, you can't predict a run of cards, you can't predict whether you're going to win or lose based on whether you've won or lost a certain amount of times already. How are we supposed to make money? And that's a reasonable question. First of all, let me start by explaining what card counting is and debunk some of the myths about it. First of all, card counting is not literally counting cards. You don't have to keep track of exactly how many of each card are dealt. Though that would be pretty advantageous if you could. It isn't like poker where you calculate outs. No, what mathematicians have determined is that if you know how many tens, that is number 10 and all the face cards which equal 10 in blackjack, if you know the number of tens and aces that are left, you know that there will be more 20s and 21s or blackjacks dealt. And those are almost always winning hands for a player to have. If you know there's more tens and aces in the deck, then you can bet more during those times and you will win more often. And then when there are less tens and aces in the deck, you bet less. You lose less, and so it balances out to a net profit. It's as simple as that conceptually. It's not very hard to grasp. Some of you might be saying, hang on though, if there's no way of predicting exactly what cards are going to come out, but you know that there's more tens, and so there will be more 20s and 21s in the deck, couldn't the dealer also have a higher chance of getting a 21 and beating you? Well, yeah, the answer is yes, but the reason that we're still going to beat the dealer over time is because of blackjacks. When a player gets a blackjack, say we bet $10 on that, if a player wins a blackjack, then it's paid out 3-2 at most tables, which means that you win 1.5 times your bet. So you'll win $10 plus an additional 5. That makes a total of 15, not bad. On the other hand, 17. On the other hand, if a dealer gets a blackjack, so let's say you get a 20, decent hand, but the dealer ends up with the blackjack. The dealer does not win 3-2 from you. The dealer only wins your original bet. So what happens is that you still made a $5 profit, even though you both had the same number of blackjacks dealt between you and the dealer. The house can only win your bet. The house cannot win more than your bet. This 3-2 payout on blackjacks is what helps us even the odds by knowing how many tens there are in the deck. Hopefully you grasp the concept a bit now. This course is going to go into great detail as to how specifically to use all of the above to your advantage. And believe me, it's a bit more complicated than just counting tens, but it's not so complicated as memorizing every card that's ever been played. So that was a relief to me when I first figured that out. Some other myths about card counting that I want to address. One, and I hear this a lot, isn't card counting illegal? No, it's not illegal to use your brain to play a game. And the answer to that question is just so obvious. Of course it's not illegal to use your brain to play a game. How could they possibly enforce that? You can use your brain to play any other game on the planet, and in free nations it's not going to be a crime. You wouldn't sit down at a poker table or in front of a chessboard and bet real money without learning something about how the game is played, and preferably you would learn some good strategies to win. Blackjack is no different. It's not illegal for you to use your brain to play blackjack. But I will say this, casinos are very sore losers. So if you start to win, in the casino's mind, you're not playing fairly because you're playing not the odds, you're playing with skill. And casinos don't like to play against players who are skilled. In truth, what is actually going on, the casinos presented a game that they will always win unless you're counting cards. So if you are counting cards, they ban you. And since casinos are considered private property, they can legally ask you not to play blackjack and even to leave the property. This is called a back-off. Casinos, though, they can't legally harass, detain, abuse, or refuse to cash out a card counter. That is 100% illegal. So if you see in the movies people breaking kneecaps and whatnot, that is totally that does not happen nowadays in today's casino environment. And if it does, usually people are able to sue for a lot of money. So casinos generally they do not want to rough you up. By the way, there are always places to play and there are always games to beat. Casinos cannot legally stop a good card counter or end their career. There is always a way around that, and I know people who have been backed off at like every place in Vegas, and they still are able to sit down at tables and take them for a lot of money. One of the other things I hear a lot from people who are interested in learning counting cards but want to test the waters here I hear a lot about people who say, my friend counted cards last weekend and he lost, so obviously it doesn't work. Well, first of all, if your friend is complaining about a one-time loss, he probably doesn't know what he's doing. I've got to be honest. He's probably not playing a winning game if he's complaining about a one-time loss and saying, woe is me, card counting doesn't work. Because he's completely missing the point of card counting. You do need to play at 100% in order to have a winning game. But secondly, card counting doesn't guarantee that you win every single hand. It doesn't even guarantee that you win every time you go to the casino. The chances of you winning a hand when you're counting cards are about 52 to 48, meaning that you have a 52% chance of winning and the casino has a 48% chance of winning. This seems like it's not very much edge, but this is the same advantage that the casino has on you when you aren't counting cards, and it makes them millions of dollars a day. So you just have to play enough hands to be able to see results flip in your favor. You also need enough money to be able to make it through the hands that are in that 48% that you lose. But given enough hands and the skills that you learn in this course, you are mathematically guaranteed to win. Myth number 3, you can't count cards nowadays because, and there are several versions of this. One is that all the games are now shoe games with several decks. And I'm here to tell you, shoe games are still beatable. They take more hands to beat, they require you to keep count for longer, and so sometimes you'll make more mistakes, but those mistakes won't be as big a deal in shoe games. But there are lots of shoe games that are totally beatable. In fact, I've taken lots and lots of money from shoe games over the years. In my area, there are mostly shoe games. That's pretty much all I play, and I beat them all the time. But there are also lots of double deck games in Vegas and all over the place that are very beatable too. I've creamed them. The double deck isn't going anywhere. The single deck is a little harder to find, but they do exist, and when you find them, you should protect them as well as crush them. The other reason people say you can't count cards nowadays is because everywhere has continuous shuffle machines, or CSMs. It's true. CSMs are unbeatable through card counting. But people know that. And casinos know that even gamblers distrust CSMs. So most will keep some tables CSM free. They'll either have an automatic shuffle machine, which is just basically an auto shuffler like you could get at home, or they'll have a game that is hand shuffled. If you want to see the CSMs gone from your local casino, though, make a fuss about it, because I'm sick of seeing them too. But casinos have not gotten ballsy enough to put only CSM games out on the floor, because they know that would drive a lot of people away from one of their most lucrative table games. The third reason I hear that you can't count cards nowadays is because security is so great, they've got facial recognition and all this other fancy tech toys, and they will catch you and they'll throw you out before you even are able to book a serious win. Well, let me address this. Security is tighter than it was when card counting first started back in the 60s, but they're also a whole lot more interested in people who are cheating than people who are counting cards. And they're also not as smart as you think. I hear all the time about players that get comped at places that they've been kicked out of, meaning that the casino will send them free stuff saying, please come back and gamble at our casino that we threw you out of last month. Some casinos will even back off losing players because they don't even know the difference. If they see a player that's winning, sometimes they'll throw him out just for the heck of it. Before I even started counting cards, I went into a casino and I won like $250. And they threw me out because they thought I was either cheating or counting cards. So casinos aren't very smart when it comes to that stuff sometimes. I've heard of players who are still making careers even if their faces are in international security databases, like OSN or Griffin or databases like that. There are players who are still able to walk into a casino and make a lot of money before they get thrown out. There are also always new casinos springing up that may or may not know what to look for on a card counter and may or may not know to look for you. So there's always another watering hole that you can move on to if one dries up. And security though there is more high-tech stuff out there, it's never going to replace good people security, and those folks are few and far between. So that's some of the myths debunked and the reasons that card counting works. If there's anything I didn't address, then please comment in the discussion area of the course, and I'd be happy to answer any concerns about why blackjack works the way it does. I've heard a great deal of reasons why card counting doesn't work, but I'm here to tell you it's worked for me. It was invented by a mathematician and it was developed by computers. Both of those are much smarter than me and much smarter than you, I would assume. And it's been proven to work across 5 decades now. Those excuses of why it doesn't work are usually coming from people too lazy to put in the effort to learn correctly, or who don't really know what they're talking about because they haven't studied a proper course like this one. Incidentally, those same people walk out of the casino with empty pockets, whereas I walk out with hundreds, sometimes thousands in profit. So they've paid enough to think whatever they like about it. I say, go ahead. But I hope for all your sakes that you're not going to be one of those people and that you can join me in making some money while playing a game very, very well and having a lot of fun doing it.